the one player that has been rocking MSG these past couple of preseason games, especially the last one against the Pacers, man. And the one that sparked the most controversy on this team, man, just in terms of his role and how this team proceeds going forward with him. And that's Obi. You know, that's Obi. And like I said, every stat, whether you're looking at advanced at whatever you're looking at, just shows that this team just plays better with him on the floor. There's more energy. They're playing fast. You picked up a Brunson. You know, I went to the open practice yesterday. They're clearly running plays. They're trying to get out and run faster. They're trying to push the pace, push the tempo. And this is a guy that does it for you. And as a team that has languished, especially in half-court scoring, he gets out. He gets you easier buckets. He's cherry picking, whatever. We take the points however we can get it.
Yeah, he gets a lot of cherry picking.
However we can get it. You know what I mean? But a couple of things. You know, his defense is improving.
Yep.
His jumper is improving, shooting 36% from three in the preseason. Shot the ball very well to finish the season. Obviously, he had a 40-piece for some great games when Julius came out the lineup. You've seen him put the ball out there on the floor with more confidence. You know, I thought there was some highlights. There were some workout videos we saw earlier this summer. I don't know if it was Dave Zenon or who he was working out there with, but, you know, he's putting the ball between his legs, behind his back, driving to the basket, and you're starting to see some of that in games right now. So, you know, it just seems like the game is totally slowed down for him. He's playing it. His confidence is at an all-time high. What are you seeing from Obi Toppin? What are you expecting from Obi?
I expect, you know, a much better year from Obi. I expect him to play a lot more. Now, the one thing I am interested in, because he really cooked at the end of last year, but I've been around the NBA long enough where sometimes those games don't matter. Not that they don't matter, but like teams aren't playing as hard. Teams are thinking about going on vacation. And so I'm curious to see when it's like if he can do. So obviously the other night, Friday night, when Obi put on that show, he must have had about 1,800 cherry picking dunks, right? I never see that. That looked like, you know, you play at the park and the dude that don't play defense somehow is getting a pass at the end. Obviously Obi does play defense though, so I'm curious to see if he's gonna get buckets like that in like on opening night. You know, when it's you're on the road in Memphis, game is tight, both teams are locked in. You know, you're playing a Pacer basketball team on Friday night who is probably going to the lottery. So I'm really curious if Obi's going to be able to get those easy buckets against good teams. I'm not saying he won't. I'm not saying he will. I'm really curious about it, though. You know, because like we said, he was getting all those dunks last year at the end of the year. It was games that were kind of like blah. Or like Friday night, the game is kind of like blah. But I think he's going to play a lot more. I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be awesome. But I'm really, like I said, I'm really curious if he's going to get those easy buckets when games are a lot tighter.
Yeah.
You know, CP, you had mentioned on the intro that he's caused a lot of controversy. And I think you forgot he caused a lot of controversy on this channel, too. And in the KnicksFanTV, you know, in the comment section as well. You know, in the polls. So, you know, I know Alex chose violence that day, but
violence with a pea shooter, man. But it's all good, man. It's all good.
Flamethrower, bro. Flamethrower. We all know
listen,
it. You know, it's the big difference.
It's violence with a pea shooter, if you will. But continue.
Flamethrower.
Continue.
Flamethrower with the asterisk. Okay, I got you. Don't worry. I'm correcting you. Don't worry.
You know, I think with him, you know, you guys mentioned the way he leaks out and gets those easy buckets. You know, I think he'll be able to do that. I just think it depends on the team, because we even saw last season he did that, you know, very successfully. A lot of times you saw the opening night against the Celtics. He had some baskets where he leaked out. You know, sometimes you run into teams that are just not great in transition defense. So, you know, I think he will be able to produce in that area. It just depends on what teams is the matchup. And that's why I had mentioned when I went on SNY that, you know, the ability to hit perimeter shots is going to be the key for him, because that translates to whatever team. You know, if you can hit the three, it doesn't matter who's defending you, you're going to hit the three. And so if he can do that, which he definitely did in the second game of the preseason, in less minutes than the first game of the preseason, he is going to put a lot of pressure on the coaching staff and on this front office to figure something out, because although I do think the intention the intention will be to give him more minutes. Man, listen, it's preseason, so everyone's getting 20 minutes, right? So we're not going to know until opening night.
Not going to know.
And it's 90, hopefully, if it's a tight game going into the fourth, will Obi even play? Like, when just the pressure mounts, it's just going to be different to see what actually transpires in terms of his minutes versus Randle's minutes. One thing that I definitely see an improvement on, and I know some people don't want to give him credit, but we saw it quickly, and I think so far we've seen it with Obi in terms of the defensive awareness. He in the first 2 preseason games, I was keeping a close eye on him. His rotations were much better. His understanding of where to pick up his defender was much better. And when you saw that block shot on the windmill dunk, that was a highlight. He jumped from the free throw line. If you pause that play, you see his right foot right on the free throw line. He goes up to block a 3-point shot. So that effort, I'm sure Tom Thibodeau enjoyed more than even the dunk.
So wait, are we giving Tibbs development credits here? Is that what we doing?
Listen, man, I know you and Anthony
you snuck that one in there. You snuck that one in there real quick.
100%.
You snuck that one in there real quick. He said, if you notice with Quickly and Obi, the defensive awareness is getting better. I'm just asking the questions here. That's all I do. I just ask the questions.
Listen, I would never disregard Tibbs' strengths. So I do, expect, because he's one of those guys. There's a lot of defensive coaches in the NBA, but he's a guy that is not a second of play. Like, that's all he drills to these players is defense. So yeah, he definitely should get some credit, especially when you consider a player that, how many other teams could improve his defense like that, but let's see him do it in the season. But man, the biggest thing that this is going to cause is the pressure, because
big time.
When you look at him and Cam, if I ask you guys, who is the most skilled, talented player, just raw ability between him or Cam, a lot of people may go to Cam's side, but then Cam doesn't have that relationship with the fans that Obi does. And so Obi just having a decent game, the fans want to see him. They don't care.
We all know what Obi is. Energy. He brings that energy every time he hops on the court. High flying dunks. We had the East Bay, as we saw the last game, 4 electric dunks. And we also know what Obi can do. He's good off score. He's good scoring off cuts. He's in the 78th percentile when it comes to scoring off cuts. He's in the 72nd percentile when it comes to. No, he finished 72% of his shots, finishing his shots around the rim, in the 66th percentile in the NBA amongst bigs. We all know what Obi can do, and we all know he's great out in transition. We know he can bring the ball up. We all know he can leak out. The stuff that he needs to improve on is his rebounding. We need to see him be a better rebounder, being judicious when he decides to leak out and when he needs to stay back and help his team secure that rebound and find somebody else, whether it's just not even having to go out in transition, right? Bringing the ball up slowly, depending on the type of matchup we're in. Maybe it's a big defensive matchup. Maybe every single possession it needs to count, and it's wait in the clock, wait fourth quarter, and you need him back there to make sure that we get every single possession. So his awareness and the game setting will have to improve as well. The defense, we're seeing it improve this during preseason. Hopefully it translates into the regular season. But I think the big thing for Obi that I really want to see is just, a consistency with knocking down his jumpers. We saw it. He went 4 for 7, I believe, this past preseason game against the Pacers. He's talked about shooting with confidence and that he's now embracing shooting with confidence. He was concerned. He was always looking over his shoulder. We know the first couple of years, making sure he was doing everything perfectly. But now when he has that open shot, he says he's going to let it fly. That's the type of stuff that you need to see. As long as it's consistent, he's going to get more minutes. It's just, how does Tibbs, and I've been saying this, how is Tibbs going to manage the minutes between Obi and Randle? I think he needs to treat Randle on that Giannis Antetokounmpo way, where it's 32 minutes flat during the regular season. Give Obi the rest of the minutes and figure out how you can get him on there for more time, because every time he's on there, those dunks just bring a lot of energy, not only to the fans, but to the team as well. It just puts the defense on their heels, and it helps the team just get even more motivated.
Yeah.
Like you hear quickly talking about CP, you were there for in Harlem for Knicks open practice.
Open practice.
And you heard quickly talk about it. You heard how quickly was like, oh, my favorite moment was Obi's East Bay dunk. And even though maybe some jovialness to it, there's some legitimacy to it as well. When you see your teammate do that, it kind of just gives you this adrenaline rush. It gives you this power that, oh yeah, we can do this. We can either come back from being down in a deficit, or we can just smack the living daylights out of our opponents. And that type of stuff is just a game changer in these environments. So Obi,
Indeed.
I'm confident in him. It's just getting more minutes. Tibbs is starting to trust him. You listen to Tibbs' presser. He talks about getting that trust. And Obi, he talks about the energy as well, how Obi's improved every single season. He's putting in the work and how it's infectious. So I'm excited for Obi this season. It just comes down to minutes and getting enough playing time. And I think it will happen. I think he'll get the minutes this season because he's shown it.
He's got to, man. And let me get to this Tibbs quick soundbite on Obi and how he's felt about him. So to everybody in the chat, once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Knicks Weekly presented by Manscaped. Here's Tibbs on Obi.
I don't know if they are. Their energy plays, and so I think that. But I also think I mentioned this yesterday about who Obi is. He's just a great energy guy, and you see it in the game. When he runs the floor, or he's taking the ball to the backside, or he's dunking the ball. But you get energy from him every day when he walks in the gym. Like, it could be middle of winter and you're in a tough stretch, and he just bounces in. He's always high energy, and I think that's contagious. I think the body language is telling you something, and he's a breath of fresh air. So I think it helps to lift everyone. Brings great energy to every practice, and I also think that's why he's gotten better. I just want the 2 points. So, but the thing is, he's a great finisher. So I want him to be himself. He plays with emotion, and the value of a dunk is pretty high when you look at the point value. So I think the more he dunks, the better. I'm not for all the crazy stuff, but he's gifted, and I don't want to take his gift away from him.
All right, so that was Tibbs and Obi. And it's funny because I always wondered what Tibbs was feeling like, when Obi's doing an East Bay in the middle of a game. But as he said, that's who he is. I'm not trying to take that away from him, and give credit to Tibbs, because as an old school coach, you would think that he would kind of get under his skin. But one of the things that we learned even last year with Quickly, or was it 2 years ago, how he had implemented a 4-point line for guys like Quick, who's trying to pull up from deep in practice. Things like that, now allowing Obi to be himself. So to me, that's a positive sign from the coach, but he spoke highly about the energy that Obi brought to the team. And, even with Obi and Quickly, and he talked about energy, even last year, it was just puzzling why he never went to him more, or went to him in other spots when Julius wasn't giving you that energy, or when the starting lineup was lifeless, or another third quarter where they're starting off slow, and Tibbs on the post game, we needed more energy. Your energy was sitting on the bench half of the time, so it's just, again, it's going to be interesting to see come October 19th, what changes will be made. Will it come will Julius's minutes come down? Will they play together? Probably not. We're going to have to wait and see, man.
Let me ask you this. If on opening day, finish this sentence, I will be disappointed if Obi plays less than blank minutes against Memphis on opening night.
20.
An athletic team, which
20.
you would think.
20.
So if he plays less than 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So 20 minutes is the
that.
benchmark we're looking at.
20.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Brandon Clark, you got Jaren Jackson. That's his game. That's his game. Less than 20 to me would be a disappointment. I don't know if Jaren Jackson's going to play. I think he's still come back from injury, but I'm just saying Memphis is, their style. They play undersized, they play athletic, they play out in transition. I think that's a good matchup for him.